What is it about a murder mystery that we are always so drawn to it?
Oh, there's a deep human fascination about solving problems, and then the certainly ones which are concerning murder. I mean, they're deep in the theatrical history, whether it be Sir Arthur Conan Doyle or Agatha Christie. It's audience participation, you know. It's such a joy to try and figure out and be ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. And in this particular case, you have these the characters beautifully embroidered by Richard Osman in his books, The Thursday Murder Club. And they just happen to be old age pensioners, retirees, call them what you will, but people who are in their quote unquote third act of life, and they're passionate. Maybe there is a fourth act, but you know, they're in their 70s, they're in their 80s, and they have a joy, and they have a sensuality about them, and they have a kinship, and they're passionate, and life hasn't stopped for them. They're curious. And then, of course, you have a director in Chris Columbus who has created such magical realms of cinema, and this is definitely another one of his creations, spearheaded by Mr. Steven Spielberg. It was a glorious summer, the most magnificent summer we all had in the company of each other playing these parts.
I think it's audience participation. I think every member of the audience wants to be the detective, and I think every member of the audience wants to solve the crime. I don't think it's a fascination with the brutality of murder. I think it's a fascination with the forensic analysis of the crime. I think it makes the audience slightly competitive amongst one another to see where in the story or the film they said, "Oh, I know who did it." So that level of audience participation, which is a great compliment to an audience, because I hate films that dumb down the audience. And what a murder mystery does is by nature the opposite.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's not the same for a romance, for instance, but it does get the audience sitting forward and thinking, well, I'm going to get there first. It's cool. Endlessly interesting.
So what do you think sets the Thursday Murder Club apart from other murder mysteries?
When I read the book, I fell in love with the material, and I fell in love with the fact that it was not your traditional sort of cold procedural murder mystery. It also wasn't this big sort of panto, over-the-top version of the mystery. I love the fact that it had two things going for it. One, it was this ridiculously funny, very witty, and also it was deeply emotional. It really was saying something about the state of aging and the fact that here are these four people who are in the twilight years of their life facing their own mortality, and at the same time, they're obsessed with death and murder. And I thought there was something that made me laugh about that, but something that also was very touching about that. So it's a very different sort of murder mystery because it's not really about, that thematically was not the reason I wanted to do it.
You know, usually a murder mystery is probably headed by some fit young man, or the likes of Kojak, by the way, who I absolutely adored. And so this is, you'd think, oh, well, this is not going to go anywhere. Mind you, of course, you've got Miss Marple, who was of an age. But
they're individuals, they're not the quartet. And
yes,
this is what's so cool about this film.
Actually, yes.
It's not one sleuth with a magnifying glass and a funny hat.
Yeah.
It's four people exchanging their observations and their ideas. And it's four people who've chosen not knitting or jigsaw puzzles, but probably the hardest, most demanding hobby that they could choose, which in itself already says that they have an alertness and an appetite for life that has not been dimmed, because all of them come from very interesting backgrounds and rich backgrounds. And I think if you are blessed to come from a rich background, it's very hard to stop.
Yes. Disaster to stop.
Yeah.
How was the process of finding the right actor for each member of the club?
The process was very much like, I hearken back to Harry Potter. I remember when I was working on Potter at the beginning, and I was rereading the book and putting the actors' names in the margin who I felt were the first choices for the character, and it was Maggie Smith and Alan Rickman and Robbie Coltrane, Richard Harris, and they all said yes. And the same thing happened 20 years down the road. You know, I had done a lot of films since then, and not every actor I wanted was either available or wanted to do the film. But in this particular case, every actor that was my first choice for Thursday Murder Club said yes. I found myself in a room with Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren and Celia and Ben, and we sort of formed this bond because there was this desire to really do great work. It's interesting because the cliche or the trope is, well, these actors have worked for 40-some years, they're going to be jaded or cynical, they're going to phone it in, but no, everyone is still passionate about doing the work, and the great thing about that is that transcends into the material and also sort of thematically connects with the four people in the film who are still old but relevant and making decisions that will affect other people's lives, which people don't expect from people in their 80s, you know.
The movie is delightful. I watched it last night, and it's joyful, and we feel that you had that atmosphere, that tone throughout filming. So how was the shooting? How was the atmosphere when you guys got together?
I mean, it was idyllic. I mean, the setting was idyllic. You know, the weather was idyllic, which we Brits love. When the weather's good, we're in a very happy place. And then it was just obviously this amazing cast of all these legends. Surprisingly, when with all these legendary people, there was no egos on set. It was just like everyone was there having fun. It felt like a theatre company and enjoying each other's performances. And I think everyone felt the sense of magic that I think has come out on the screen as well, that we were in something that was really lovely and poignant and funny. And more than anything else, when you watch it, it's packed full of heart. So you find yourself laughing along to this film, and then all of a sudden the rug's taken from under your feet and you've got a little tear in your eye, or a big tear in some cases. And it's just really lovely. And there's a lot of cake in the film. And this is like, the film is like a big, beautiful cake, essentially.
So, Tom, what did you learn working with Pierce and the rest of the cast?
That he's just a normal person.
He's just a regular guy.
Just a normal person.
Tom knows it all, really. Tom knows how to be an actor and how to be a great man. And, you know, you to be an actor, you have to be real. You have to be truthful to yourself and, you know, participate. You're just an actor, that's all. Portraying, hopefully, great characters and great writing. And we had great characters and great writing from Mr. Richard Osment. You know, Chris Columbus, he brings such a joy to the set, and he's a wonderful filmmaker. He knows where to put the camera. When you're in the proscenium arch of the camera, you can feel your performance. He adds to your performance because he's telling the story, and you can see the story through his camera lens.
This is the first book of a series. They had like 4 extra books. There's a new one being released now in September. And we know, you know, how movies work and how franchises are born, so to speak. So were you up to revisit these characters in further stories?
Sure, I would certainly be up for it. They better hurry up and do it. Let's be honest here, you know. Time past, time present, time future. There's 5 books, so one has to be practical about these issues. But definitely I would be ready to go again, and Chris Columbus is eager to go again. We all are. But, you know, let's see how the curtain rises on the Thursday Murder Club. We all feel very happy with the work and positive about the work, and I believe that the audience will enjoy this film and these performances enormously.
I was just talking to Pierce, and I mentioned that there's 4 books already, a 5th one coming out, and I asked him if he was up for more movies with these characters, and he said something like, they better hurry up because we are here now, but, you know, they better hurry up. So are there any plans whatsoever to continue the story and adapt further books?
Yeah, I think we need to, and we don't have that. I mean, it's going to happen rather quickly. Once the film is sort of released on we open in theaters here in the UK tomorrow, and then the following week we're on Netflix. So the question really is, if enough people are watching the film and enjoying the film and sort of demand a sequel, we'd all love to do it again. I mean, I think we just had such a such a artistically fruitful time working together that we want to do it again.
Nostalgia is a big thing today, and even a movie that harkens nostalgia, like a murder mystery. And your name is connected in some way to, Goonies and Gremlins and Labyrinth, all these big stories from the past. So why do you think nostalgia is still such a big engine for pop culture?
Well, I think nostalgia is a big engine because nostalgia, along with existing IP and superheroes, are what are mostly fueling the box office these days. So nostalgia's, for lack of a better term, a big business, and it is something that you have to be careful of, because although I'm involved with thinking about maybe another Gremlins film or a Goonies reboot or Robert Eggers' version of Labyrinth, it all is. There's no reason to do it unless the film is great. There's no reason to do it because why would you want to upset the fans? There's not enough money in the world to piss off the fans, to destroy their goodwill and their memories of these films. And that's where we are right now. So unless we can make great versions of these films, there's no reason to do them. So again, I've been talking about Gremlins and Goonies for 40 years. Everybody's brought it up, but we haven't done it yet, and we haven't done it yet because it hasn't been good enough. I think Labyrinth is something that, if it happens, it will have to be great.
So just for me to wrap it up, we have, a new Harry Potter series coming up, and I was thinking that we talked 25 years ago on the first Harry Potter movie. So what's your take on the enduring power of this series in particular?
It's interesting that it feels like my initial thought was, well, it's not a silent black and white film from 85 years ago. Why are we remaking it? It feels pretty contemporary. We designed the first films, all of the films really. They were going to get progressively darker, and we designed them with sort of a timeless quality. So I think the best reason for doing the new version is the fact that you can actually adapt the entire book. We didn't have that luxury. We only, our films were long. I'll be the first to say our films, the first film I think is 2 hours and 40 minutes, around there. So that's a long time for what some people perceive as a kid's film or a family film. Now they get to do the entire book. So they get to do things we didn't have the opportunity to do, so that's exciting. But basically it looks pretty similar, I gotta say. I've only seen photos. They didn't ask me to be involved, although I feel like I'm involved since the costumes all look the same, so.
Joyce, Ibrahim, Aaron. Precisamos do Clube do Crime das quintas-feiras. Se você machucar os meus amigos, eu mesma vou colocar uma dúzia de rosas vermelhas sobre o seu caixão.
Uau!